Here we go. Well, continue. Today's the first day of the rest of my life, so let's not waste time. That's a funny joke. Knock, knock. Okay. I'm laughing. I'm laughing. Anyway, I think you get my point. There's like a point of no return with certain things that go on. And when they get so desperate to have to actually put you under a magnifying glass and say, oh, gee, he went out to actually, it was a decent resort. But it's just the idea of going out and taking your family out. He said, why can't you have a, yeah, who's there? Blah, blah, blah. It's a matter of fact of going out. You didn't have to. It's just a way of celebrating whatever the occasion was. A lot of people don't even do that, you know. And it's also not like I'm going to find Americanized food in this town because that generally is not going to happen. Okay, here we go. Barry charges $15 to join his channel. and what are the perks that you get on this channel? I don't know, for a guy that's kind of facing, some pretty serious circumstances, he's more worried about making a couple of dollars, a couple of pesos on his channel. That's another thing about psychology on here. I think he should be, then he said he wasn't coming on anymore. I think he should be more concerned with his situation than making 5, 10, 15 bucks or something. Now, charging membership fees. I mean, for what? Are they going to get a free t-shirt? Are they going to get a blowjob? I mean, what is he offering? Well, there's got to be perks for something for joining a membership and paying for it. Now, you have to understand that unless canceled, he ain't going to cancel it. If you're going to pay him $5 a month, $15 a month, that's continual. Keep that in mind. Now, unless he personally changes that and he's in jail, prison, or whatever, you're still going to pay that $15, whatever it is, every month. Bet you didn't think about that. Yeah, where's the perks? I mean, to hear his wisdom. And I'll even go on camera. Oh, yeah, that makes it worth $15 a month. To see his mug on camera. Y'all know what he looks like. I mean, what's the purpose? Yeah, perks. That's why he got his girlfriend to go back on again. Apparently, money's tight, and they've got to build up their channels. He said that's her personal channel, not his. No, it's connected to the same account. So she makes money somehow and gets monetized or whatever. Money goes in his pocket collectively with both channels. HAG says yesterday when he was told about DOG, Department of, what's the DOG? Department of going after SSI and SSDI improper payments for overseas Americans, he flipped out. I don't know if I remember that. All but admitting he gets his SSDI. I know, he's so stupid. I mean, he says things and he forgets that he said it earlier, maybe 5 minutes earlier, perhaps. It makes himself look like a total, well, what he is. Of course, he's getting his SSDI. I remember him saying on the show, well, I'm a married man. You shouldn't talk about my woman that way. Talk what about her? I'm a married man, and that's my wife. No, she's not your wife. You never got married. Laughing Larry says, money too tight to mention. Remember that song, Frank? There's a lot of songs. Well, what else you really need to know? He's never stopped getting his SSDI, but I think he's going to be maybe so surprised in the future where if he's still living out of country, that it might actually be cut off. And actually, you know how to get away with a lot of this? It's very simple. He still has an address in America, so they still think he's in America. Yeah, that's how it works. They don't really know or didn't know continually that he's been living in another country. And once they find out, it's different than Social Security, but you can't live on U.S. welfare money, such as that, living in another country. Yeah, Stefan, well, how obvious is that? Pretty obvious, isn't it? Well, there's a lot of expectations, but I told them on certain things, don't hold your breath on that. I can think of a few things. But the one thing you can't get rid of him, of some of his little traits, is his cockiness. And his cockiness is what has gotten him in trouble historically. I don't ever see that stopping. It's ingrained. I mean, it's not something you could turn off and turn on. I think it's just inherited, inert, and it's permanent, and it's non-stoppable. And you cannot collect benefits while incarcerated. He's been reported being in jail. Well, maybe you guys should write I'm not your deputy dog, as he says. Maybe you guys should write to the Social Security Administration. His full name and blah, blah, blah. Maybe that's something you should do. Don't look to me. I've done enough. Well, not enough as far as I'm concerned, but I've done enough to this point, certainly. Maximus, why do you come on my channel when you down me on somebody else's channel? I'm sorry, I'm hiding you on my channel. I don't have to see your comments. You're not innocent. You come on my show. Look, I'm even on, but nevertheless, you came on my show, and you think I don't see comments you make on other people's shows? Well, report them again. And also, if you have anything else to say in regards to a situation, uh, you go look under BI Intel. There's an email address for BI Intel, their intelligence unit. There's a lot of crazy things that have been going on. Him receiving basically a weapon in his jail cell from Brevis and money. It's a lot of things. Also, if you've been witness to him saying that he coerced his girlfriend, write to the Bureau of Immigration, or write to BI Intel, or write to the Department of Justice. Just look it up on Google. You'll get the email addresses from each one of them. So send it to all of them. You were witness to him saying he coerced his girlfriend into doing a complaint against me. Maybe it's time you guys start doing your job. WJ, I wonder if he will keep up his marriage thing, or he'll admit that he never got married. Who cares? Either way. No, he's not married. He's not married. But if it makes him feel closer to her, or as a weapon, using to weaponize himself with that statement saying that he managed to marry her, it's just another form of weaponization. You could go to BI Intel. Just look up BI Intelligence on Google. There's an email address. I don't have them in front of me. BI Intel. You go, and then there's a Department of Justice, DOJ Cybercrime, Department of Justice Cybercrime. Look that up. You get an email address for that. Or go to the Philippines Immigration Office number, Manila. There's an email for that. So you got your choices. Just CC it to all those agencies. If you have actually heard, him making a statement about him coercing his girlfriend. But the thing is, if you're going to do that, I have to give you a little bit of advice. I mean, I will never see it, but You'll have to attach your identification, your full name, address, and some form of government ID, passport, whatever it might be. It doesn't mean you're going to have to go in for witness for anything like that. No, it's complaint like anything else, and you don't have to worry about your identity. But they do not entertain anonymous complaints. I've seen it in writing. They do not entertain anonymous complaints. Keep that in mind. So you will have to put all that information down. Where did you see this? Where did you hear this? Okay, are you familiar with the person? Do you feel that this is an act of revenge against the plaintiff? Uh, do you think this was an act of revenge done against Mr. B? Then anything maybe pertaining to his case, that you've heard his death threats and everything. They got all this, but it helps when you send more in. Just be proactive. That's all I can tell you. I can't force you to do anything, but you guys seem to be so involved in this matter. Then you don't like the guy, and you know he's done a lot of wrong. So I could just clearly say that if that's the case, be proactive. What do you think he's trying to do? Be proactive. Write to all these agencies. I gave you the above names. It will all get to the right people. Yeah, it'll get there eventually. It does. But I'll repeat again, they are not going to entertain anonymous complaints. Nope. They won't even write you back. So keep that in mind. If you feel he's done a lot of wrong on YouTube, outside of YouTube, if you've heard the death threats, if you feel that it was totally an act of revenge by getting his girlfriend to file a complaint against me, unnecessarily and unwarranted and not factual, a woman who's complaining that she has PTSD and depression and everything else, but she goes out with her friends and don't seem depressed there with PTSD. Goes out in public. She's not afraid to go in public. Think she's going to run into me. I've never even met the woman. Then she starts putting a YouTube show on again. You know, this is what I mean. That's my point. It's all bullshit. They don't care whose lives they try to destroy, as long as they can make their point and get even, right? Get even. Well, there's a whole has a way of spit in the wind that comes back in your face. That's what I say. Excuse me. There you go. You got tools, and you just need to use it. I know somebody else that's actually. He sent me a draft of his report for my approval, and I got to see his final. And basically, he's going to be sending in something that's pretty interesting to the various agencies. I got one person cooperating who actually was didn't even ask; they volunteered. Sometimes people just had enough. They say entertainment is entertainment, but sometimes things go a little bit too far. So I don't need the stress. I don't need the bullshit. I don't need any of that. That's why the sooner we get to the bottom of this, the better. And believe me, there's not one person, whether it's a secretary or somebody in the Department of Immigration, that does not know his name, or the Department of Justice. We find all the fiscals and prosecutors, and they're all related to immigration. They're all meshed into one governmental unit. There's not one person in that office, even a person who does the janitorial work, that is not familiar with this person's name. They all know the name. In fact, they're so sick of hearing it. And it's just going on for 3 years. They've been hearing his name. 3 fucking years, at least. Like, oh, not him again. What is this report for now? Not him again. What are they saying about him now? What has he done now? Man, he seems to think he's going to get a slap on the wrist and be sent home, but I think that's wishful thinking. I know what he's hoping for right now. He thinks this particular thing, if it happens, that they're going to drop the case will be dropped, and then he walks home. No, it doesn't. And he talks a lot about the what is it, the charge sheet, whatever. So if I'm not able, for example, to renew the visa again, and I'm not saying whether I can't or I couldn't. I guess you'll find out. But he thinks that alone is going to put me in a very vulnerable situation in court, but it's not. The court hearing still goes on because now it's administrative, right? It's not like, for example, if I didn't pay my visa, like it was a purposeful thing to do. That's an administrative thing. Well, maybe they weren't allowing you, like last time when I got it, what happened, and not allowing you to renew your visa. Now, that's not something you're doing. You're not breaking the law. This was an administrative issue, clearly administrative, and I could use that word for this as it does apply. That would be clearly administrative. Not the Fed. You weren't saying anything too cool about me on some things I was reading. I don't even know why you're on here. You got to be in on the action. Is that what it is? I don't know. I've seen some pretty loose statements on recent shows that are questionable. No, they're interrelated in a point there, but if something is administrative, in other words, you're not, like, for example, him, he purposely hadn't paid for 7 years of his normal visa fees, right? That was purposeful, and that was, illegal, no matter how you look at it. He did it on his own. Now, if there's an administrative order from an office saying, okay, listen, because you've got this complaint, or perhaps it's the case that you have against you, that we have to put a hold on that until we could settle the situation. So they won't allow you, if that's what happens, they won't allow you to renew your visa until they clear up this other matter. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So that's administrative. It's not that I would not be willingly to pay my due fees. It's all administrative. Yeah. Well, I don't like trolls, period, okay? So get the fuck out of here. I'm at a point I don't fucking care. You're lucky I even put on a show today. Hey, what the fuck wrong with you people anyway? Sometimes I'll sit there and I'll listen to all the gossip and bullshit on these shows, and everybody's complaining about something, man. Either they're complaining about the Philippines or this or that. But I understand that they have to have some content matter on their show. I understand that. They got to have something to talk about, whether it's Philippine antics or you name it, or all these British guys, the British invasion we got in here now. It wasn't the Beatles, it's now the British invasion of vloggers coming into here. Jim, that guy Jim's a real idiot. What's the name of his channel? What was his girlfriend's name? Not Janet, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That guy, he's not even in the Philippines. He wants to come back. He loves it, but he loves it, but he hates it. So it looks like this guy has a lot of money. Looks like he does. He's not hurting for cash. Just stay in the United States where he's staying. He just says all these derogative things about lease dismissed as smooth is another one. Go down the list. They're all saying all this crap about Filipinos. Yet they keep on coming back to be with Filipinos. And, what's with that? They have a lot of bad things to say about the Philippines. Don't come here then. That's all I have to say. My main reason for being here is my partner. That's why I'm here. Although I've learned to love and adjust to the culture here. You can do that anywhere. But she's the reason I'm here. Would I have chosen perhaps another country? to live in other than the Philippines. It's possible. It's according to what my interest was. Was it a romantic interest with somebody? Was it something about the cost of living? It could have been Costa Rica. There's a lot of places I examined before I actually moved here. Costa Rica was one place, yeah. Brazil was another place, but I thought that was a little bit too heavy duty. I mean, I knew somebody out there, but being a gringo in a place like that, I don't think it's just very safe. Just I've had a number of places that I actually considered prior to meeting who I'm with now, where I might have considered for real. I mean, I like being here in the Philippines, and it's my plan to stay here. If otherwise happened, you got to adjust to change. I mean, what choice do you have? Want to kill yourself? What are you going to do? You adjust. And then they're telling me what my partner is willing to do or not willing to do. Oh, she ain't going to sell that house and live a life with you somewhere else. Who said she wouldn't? She said if something like that ever came up, she'll do whatever she has to do. You can't put words in her mouth. And I'm not putting words in her mouth. That shows a person really loves you. And friends, you could always get together with friends from here. They could visit you, you could visit them. The world is not all a prison where you can't get back into a country if you are allowed to get back into a country. Pig nose can't buy himself. I know, that's pretty embarrassing. Yeah, I know. Here's the thing. A lot of you are flies on the walls who don't have your own show. But I've tried that this past few days, and it's a very interesting, different perspective. And, it's like turning the channel on your TV, and there's all these drama channels on. And it's exactly what it is. And everybody seems to be bitching and whining about something on here, expressing hate, mistrust, or just being a total asshole and gossiping about everyone. Then I say to myself, what is the percentage of people who are actually living in the Philippines doing this? Did you come here for a specific purpose? A woman, perhaps, the cost of living might be cheaper than the United States, which we know it is. It's that bad. I'm not kidding. I hear this all over the news. I mean, people are coming into the United States, but they are also leaving. They can't afford to live in their own country. And what is Trump doing about that? He's making it worse. Although he's saying he's going to do things to bring down prices of oil and everything, and coal and inflation and electric, everything. How's he going to accomplish that? But he said you're going to have to suffer for a few years for that to happen. Nobody wants to suffer for a few years or so. They don't want to suffer for a day. People are not going to stay. I watch this stuff. You might think I'm watching all things on the Philippines genre, but that's not true. 90% or more of what I watch on YouTube is having to do with international issues and economy and things like that. It's not good anywhere. People with good jobs are living on the streets because maybe their job pays decent money, but the ratio of what your paycheck is compared to what your rent is going to be and other expenses, they don't balance out. And you could be making 5,000 a month, you'd be living in your car because you cannot afford in major cities like New York City, especially New York City. I'm talking about that. You can't even afford to rent. And actually, all the owners of these rentals are trying to square out on is their taxes that is so high. And yet, the owners, they're making money left hand over right, but now the market's getting so tighter for rentals, they just want to break even on their taxes on owning their rental properties in New York City and places like that. You know, it's a balancing scale. It's not working for either or. So yeah, things are getting pretty tight all over, man. They're getting tight. Let me see. The average loaf of bread here, it's a cheap loaf of bread, is 85 pesos. That's like what, 150 something dollar. I mean, over $1.50. No, what is that? How many pesos? 85? Oh, okay. So look how much you're paying for that loaf of bread. 85 pesos. I don't know what the hell it is, $1.40 or something. I don't know, for a lousy loaf of bread. Eggs are going for like in places like New York City and other places, they're going for, they could go as high as, you know, $15 or more for a dozen eggs. So do you think you're going to make it here in the Philippines as an alternative place when you're making less than, you know, you come up with any figure you want? I think it's tough for most people living out here who thought that they were making a great move of coming here, and then they're slowly discovering that things in the world are changing, man. Oh, what was Barry saying about the Chinese government? He made a political statement on here that's also going to be used. I know that somebody's going to use it. Having to do with the Chinese government in the Philippines and in the United States. I can't remember the exact statement that was written down, but he was all over the planet with every government agency and oh my God. Okay, well, yeah. Now, people need to mind their business when uh, they don't seem to get the grip that you do things out of your heart. So Ricky's over there saying, ha ha ha, Mr. Five Star lifestyle, which we know is not true. Look at the apartment he's living in. Why does he have to live in that apartment if he makes $8,000 to $9,000 a month? If you make that kind of money, then you could actually live in a 5-star rental. But there's an underlying reason why he's renting some shit shack. Exactly what is the shit shack? He'll say, well, so I have more money to cavort around and spend on the women. But when it gets to the point, he can't even hire a rented date. Well, that's getting pretty crazy for his situation, isn't it? It's pretty embarrassing. There's not one person on here that are trolls that are not exactly having their own little behind the scenes problems that you'll never hear them talking about, whether it's health issues or whatever it might be. They got a lot going on. They're just not going to tell you. That's why I laugh at a lot of their comments. I didn't have to buy my girlfriend flowers. I didn't have to take her out to a dinner for Valentine's Day. It was a thought. It wasn't how much I spent on the place I went to. It was a thought of acknowledging it was Valentine's Day and the kid's birthday. That's what you do. Are these people that fucking jealous that they gotta nitpick with little shit like that? Why, you think Ricky or somebody's going to spend money other than for what he spent on Apple, which was the apple of his eye that dumped him? You think he's normally going to take out some chick and buy her, other than that time, an expensive phone or a bouquet of flowers? He doesn't have any sentiment. And to tell you the truth, I don't even think in his case that Viagra works for him. That's just my opinion. I did some research, Frank. The top 10% own 50% of the wealth. Well, unfortunately, with the presidency, with Trump back in office, well, they talk everything about the border, but what happened in his last presidency? Why didn't he take care of some of these problems that he's addressing now? Why couldn't he do it back in his administration back then? He's going to do this, he's going to do that, he wants to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico. Come on, man. This is clearly a power hungry dictator. He's pissing countries off and he thinks they're giving in. Well, because some of our ally countries, Canada and such, and even Mexico, raising tariffs, to 25%. It's, you spit in the wind, it's going to come back in your face one way or the other. He just got into office. He's making too many promises he probably can't keep. And you talk about Biden not doing anything. Well, let's see what happens with Trump. And I know there's a lot of Trump fans out there. I told you I'm not really political, but I don't like Trump. I will say that to the day I die. I think he's a dictator. I think he's power hungry. I think he wants to keep the legacy going. I think his son will be running for the next president. Larry Flint. I mean Flint, you mean? Well, money isn't everything, man. It gets you into trouble when you got that kind of money. Your whole life is spent just trying to make sure you're making more money. When do you have time for yourself? You might own these mansions in Florida, resorts and all kinds of shit. But I mean, when you got everything, you got the younger woman that would never be with the bum if he didn't have that money. We see that in a lot of relationships, even in Hollywood stars. They would never be with a particular woman if they didn't have that stardom and all that. Money speaks volumes, folks. Let's just face it. It does. That's why you see these 18-year-olds with an 80-year-old guy. Come on, get real about that. You can't figure that out, that age gap difference, and what's the politics that are involved with that. Be serious about it. But it's one of these things, to each his own. Everything is out of control in this world, especially in the United States. He used to be proud to grow up in the United States, but how divided the country has become. A lot of people have changed their minds. They said it's too volatile to live in the United States anymore. It's too volatile, too political, too divided, too much violence. Why don't the president just come up with like the movie Purge? I wouldn't be surprised if he did. To get rid of all the shitheads that don't contribute. Why don't he do a thing? We have 24 hours to just, go out there and cause havoc to whoever you want to cause havoc with that you don't like, to reduce the population on the earth, to get rid of all the scumbags, where everybody becomes their own vigilante. And boy, people would take advantage of that. I'll guarantee you they will. It'll come to that. I don't know if it'll come in my lifetime, but I think it'll come to that. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I can just go on and do a show here, but yeah, I haven't really been on because I haven't had anything to say, and I got to admit, it felt very comfortable. It felt good, just to be, even for a small time, just to be a fly on the wall, and just listen to all the bullshit, and be able to reflect on it, and even talk about it a little bit. I'm utterly amazed, and sometimes I'm not. What I hear on YouTube, how people are attacking each other left and right, it makes you wonder what the fuck went on with this world. Was I in a coma for a long time? It just seems like people within I say the past 5 years, I hear more than triple the amount of killings going on in the world, and violence and racism and you name it. And I've also experienced a surge in trolls on YouTube, and these people when they should be out, say, socializing off YouTube. They're not. And they can't wait till somebody puts a show on so they have something to talk about. But what's amazing, even more so, is that these people are either married or they got partners or whatever, yet they spend more time on YouTube than they should be out with their partners, or whatever they normally would do outside of YouTube, whatever their thing is, according to how fit they are or how old they are, whatever you do normally with your partner at your age. If they spent more time doing that, they wouldn't have to be mouthing off on YouTube. Especially if you moved to this country, you moved out of your country to have a better life in another country. And what are they doing? Then you got people that don't even live here that are putting skits on and shows against somebody actually living in the Philippines where they're not. They haven't been here for 45 years. Go figure. Go figure. Michael Saylor is buying Bitcoin. Well, you know what? I'm not into that Bitcoin shit. You have to talk to the expert billionaire, Drew Nordy, who's the Bitcoin millionaire, so he claims. Yeah. And what is the bullshit that somebody gave Barry 200,000 pesos for a lawyer? Well, a lawyer doesn't cost 200,000 pesos. To retain a lawyer is between 40, 60, and 80,000 pesos. Did you hear that one too? But like I started saying this show, this is the whole purpose of putting on the show this morning when I was giving you an example of something I read on a Facebook feed, and a woman, she was driving haphazardly. It was her fault. And forced this guy off the road somehow. And the guy was pissed off, as you imagine it would be, right? Expletives, all that stuff. And she didn't really get upset and argue with him. She wasn't a Karen. Amazing, she wasn't a Karen. So I'm sorry, sir, it was my fault, and blah, blah, blah. Then he calmed down. He thought that he would be met with, some more expletives from her, but he got surprised and he calmed down. And another time he ran into her in the store. He said, "Oh, you know what? I'm really sorry about that incident. It really wasn't your fault." He said, "I had a lot of things in my mind this morning with family and everything, and I wasn't thinking. It's my fault. I cut you off." You see how that works out? Yeah. It doesn't always have to be this way. If somebody could just stop what they're doing and not continually do what they're doing, they'd be in less trouble. There wouldn't be a problem. In fact, there wouldn't have to be a court hearing. There wouldn't be any of that shit at this point. It's a little late for that. Anger doesn't solve anything, you know? And denying what you've done doesn't solve anything. Admit to fault and just say sincerely that I apologize in the beginning. A little late now. I'm talking about a sincere apology. And then this goober is turning around saying, "Well, yeah, I could have stopped that complaint, my girlfriend. If you apologize to her for what? Excuse me, goober? Apologize to her for what? I did not call her any names. I did not call her a whore or a prostitute. I'm not on the attack of her, physically or otherwise. It's all in your head, bummer. It's all in your fucking evil head. You make up shit. You take shit out of your hat. You make me sound like I'm such a volatile person to your girlfriend, that I've done so much wrong to her. What have I done to your girlfriend? But the better question is, what has she tried to do to me? Doesn't balance out, goober, does it? I didn't do any of the above to your girlfriend. I'm not a threat to her, and I never was. I never made any physical threats to her at all. None. None of the above. But you decided to get her involved. And that was your mistake. And now it's her mistake. "Oh yeah, if you kiss my girlfriend's ass, she may drop that complaint on you." You know what? I'll take my chances. no matter where it goes. I'm not going to apologize to your girlfriend, as you quoted, and you forgot to say wife. You caught yourself in a lie. It's your girlfriend. It's not your wife. It'll be a rainy day in fucking hell before I fucking apologize to her because there's nothing to apologize for. Screw that shit. There is nothing to apologize for. Was she trying to get done to me? I'm supposed to be like that apologetic person to her and say, oh, gee, I apologize for what? For what? For what? The so called PTSD she has? Bullshit. Depression? Bullshit. Physical threats to her? Bullshit. What she should have put in that document was to show prior to her complaint any psychological doctors with credibility, psychiatric or psychology, should have shown the paperwork. And if she had problems prior to her report she put on me, that's always possible. Maybe she was seeing a counselor for various reasons that had nothing to do with me. But either way, and nevertheless, that was never produced. Just a statement saying that she's seen psychological people or counseling because of what I did to her. And I'm thinking of what I did to her. What did I do to that woman? How did I scar her so deeply that she's got PTSD? Did she just come out of a fucking war zone? I never even met the woman. Depression? I don't know. Every video I've ever seen of hers during that period of time, prior and during the complete, going out with her friends, having a good time, going out for lunch, going out to activities, dancing to karaoke and everything else, singing. Oh yeah, that's a woman that's in real bad state of mind. Wouldn't you think? It's all bullshit, man. It's all bullshit. All right, I'm out of here. Take care, folks.
All right. Oh man, where to begin? Where to begin? Well, it sounds like he is a little worried about what's coming. Okay. As for his politics, I really enjoyed hearing all the talking points from MSNBC, CBS, CNN. He's up on all those good talking points. Great job, Frank. Great job. Maybe when you come back to the States, you can get a job there. I hear they're hiring anybody these days. How did he keep it under an hour? I think he's very worried. He's very worried. I think he's catching on that he should shut his mouth. And as you can see, he wants to say a lot more, but he doesn't dare do. So hey, that's the way it rolls with this guy. And in a way, I feel really bad for him because all the shit he's in right now, he caused it himself eh, with his dump truck mouth. And now he's going to find out he's got a hummingbird ass. Okay. And BI isn't going to come get him. Absolutely right. The pressure is building and he can feel it. And I, I tell you, the way he was talking tonight, he was trying to say he's on hold departure. He knows he's on hold departure, but he started calling it administrative like Barry did. This is just all administrative. It's not a crime. It's just administrative. That's why we call these two guys the twins. Now, is Barry where he belongs? Absolutely. He overstayed. He's going to be there. And he's going to stay there even if Frank's case gets dropped. He's going to stay there. Why? Because he hasn't paid any of his fines and he's got a big fucking mouth. Period. And Filipinos just smile in your face when you're talking shit, and then they ignore you. And your paperwork, everything just slows down to a crawl. They just forget about you. Yes, he's shaking like a dog, trying to shit out the peach seed. Yeah, Baba did offer 25K in peso, you know. And, long time ago, if when Frank paid the 5,000 pesos to get him picked up, if he'd have just dropped the mic then and walked away, he'd have been A-OK. But no, he had to keep coming on. He had to keep running his mouth. Like, and this is what Barry did. He kept running his mouth as he was running from town to town, or should I say province to province to province, finding different girls. He kept running his mouth, kept bad mouthing Frank. Frank got pissed off, got his feelings hurt. I mean, dude, if I had a nickel for every time somebody fucking badmouthed me here on YouTube, I'd be rich. Be rich. Am I gonna hold a grudge? No. They're just people on the computer. If words hurt you that bad, and now he's talking about PTSD. He knows nothing about PTSD. Nothing. Okay. There are many people that have PTSD. They go out, they have a good time, they smile. You know, PTSD doesn't mean you go hide in a corner for the rest of your life and they dig you out. Okay? Per Frank's words, he gets to approve government reports. He is awesome. Yeah, I liked your latest video, Don. That was fucking awesome, dude. I did. It's like I told Don, you know, if he'd have just kept his mouth shut, nobody would know what a fucking fool he is. Uh, but it is what it is, people. And he's going to learn. He's got to learn the hard way. That's what both these guys are going to do. Old Krusty admits the buffet food was crap. He's broke. Dude. Uh, I I've seen him go to many of these buffets, and I looked at the food and the trays, and I said to myself, "No, thank you." Okay, no, thank you. And dude, 85 pesos for a loaf of bread. Okay, that's not even $1.50. What are you getting? What are you getting now? 64 pesos to the dollar. Here, you'll pay anywhere from $2.50 to $4 for bread. Sometimes 4.50 for bread, right? Depending on what bread you get. I like to buy the Moret's potato bread. That's my favorite for sandwiches. Okay, and he's saying people can't live in America anymore. It's too expensive. Dude, this guy tells me I'm fucking broke. How am I living in America then if it's too expensive? You know? This guy has not had one kind word to say about anyone or anything. Writing to the congressman who was voted out of office for 8 years. My favorite line was, like Gilda on Nickel Night. I love that line. There's always underlying message on the vids. That's the fun part. Yeah, it is. It is, man. And yeah, Barry, I will approve it. The might of the full might of the United States Navy will come. We'll put an aircraft carrier off the coast. Okay, 85p. Yeah, but you're not on a budget, Popeye. We know about accounts. Don't fool me, guy. That's a good one, chicken choker. Oh man, that's a good one, chicken choker. And you cracking my ass up. It's so hard to pick a favorite line in that Don C video. It's so chock full of highly polished. It is, man. When I saw that video, I said, man, I gotta feature this video and I gotta put stuff around it that's just as worthy. Okay. And I was kind of hoping that video would shut him up for a while, you know, and I think it did. I think when he saw that, he got a little knock into reality. I mean, because you can't deny any of that shit. It's so hard to pick a favorite. Yeah. As opposed to taking a grab, Frail is now paying Gilda's kids having babies. Oh man, but he's very worried. He's on hold departure, and he's fucked. And they're not gonna come get him. They're gonna wait till he goes to immigration or he's in Manila, and they'll take him in custody. Okay, they're patient. They're not gonna go spend the money to go get his sorry old ass. It's not gonna happen. Okay, they would have never got fucking Barry if it wasn't for Frank. They would have never got Big Kevin, but he got the bolo in his head. Right? He has creepily noted on how Gilda's daughter is recently. Yeah. Yeah, his days are number, Juarez. Guaranteed. I would have emptied for Frank if he was so pure. Dude, I don't think it's evil. What I think it is just plain stubbornness, stupidity. I mean, he should have let Barry go a long time ago. But hey, he wants to hold on. He wants to, you know, be an asshole. Right? And dude, he said a lot of bad things about Barry's girlfriend. He said a lot of bad things about Shah. Right? He said a lot of bad things about Dave's wife, Dave's niece. Right? He said a lot of bad things about Dimples. He said a lot of bad things about different women, Filipinas and American women. Right? Dude, when you do that, you got a lot of hate coming back your way. I guarantee it. Oh God, I feel sorry for Gilda's daughter, man. Oh, him around. Frank probably did meet her at 5, followed her in the Central Park for weeks. Baby Bubba and Frankie share many similar character traits. Yeah, yeah. hmm I genuinely believe Frank is pure evil, no BS, and I am not religious guy, but he is what he is. Yeah, yeah, you know, I hear you, Chris. I hear you. And dude, I've never seen a guy. I mean, Jesus Christ, that he talks like New York is the greatest thing in the world. That New York has been turned into a shithole in the past 4 years. It smells like urine and fucking pot. They even say it on the news. It smells like urine and pot. It's the most expensive place you'll ever want to live, besides Massachusetts in the United States. Yeah, okay? That's the way it is. And you take a look at all these cities, the most expensive places, who's running them? Who are the mayors? Who are the governors? Right? Who are the congressmen? Who are the congresswomen? Who are the senators? They're all friggin' Democrats. Okay? Frank is like evil, incompetent devil worshiper. uh, yeah, yeah, that, that's a good one. That's a good one, Steve. I was just in New York City a few weeks ago. It's a bigger shithole than it was in the late 80s. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, at one time, New York was a shining jewel, but hey, I think it's a bit tarnished now, and I believe that's an understatement. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Frank, well, in a homeless area looking for the next Bama. But you heard him tonight. He sounds nervous. He sounds etchy. Sounds a little sketchy. I don't think the medication is helping him much these days. Piling up cardboard over the steam grates. Yeah, he does sound defeated. He really does. And you know, he's gonna learn a very hard lesson and tough shit. I mean, I'm not gonna feel sorry for him. I I don't feel sorry for a guy that comes out at the beginning of his show and solicits the people that are listening to go online to Social Security to snitch on Barry. Barry's got enough fucking problems. Okay? And maybe you're right. That kind of shit is pure fucking evil. Okay? Barry's got enough problems. He's behind bars. He ain't going anywhere. And dude, this shit with Frank sweating it all the time. I just don't get it. I mean, I really don't get it. Like the Monty Python movie, the mom just stands over the laundry and shakes the baby out. Yeah, projecting strength like a rat. I mean, that's fucking despicable, man. That is utterly despicable. I mean, I never thought Frank could go any lower, but he never ceases to amaze me. But all that being said, guys, it's Sunday night. I'm going to call it a night. And I want to thank you all for coming in. Chicken Choker, Steve 25901, Mick Fisher, Chris Cato, Juarez. Who else we got in here? Oh man, all you guys. Chris Travels, Don C, the great Don C, man. Dude, your shit's getting better and better, man. I might be able to retire. You keep this up. Oh, oh man. I tell you. Stellar was here tonight. So, you guys have a good night. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. And don't do anything I wouldn't do. Not really, man. But thank you for the boost of confidence there. That was very kind of you, Don C. All right, guys. Take care.